WADR, promoting dialogue.
Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Malian High Court to give verdict in the trial of Imam Dicko supporters on March 27. Ghana's President Mahama swears in new members of Armed Forces Council.
This solemn occasion reaffirms our collective commitment to the security, stability, and professional excellence of our armed forces.
1 year under President Bashir Jamai Faye, analyst Mohamed C. Albert weighs in on progress and challenges.
Senegalese citizens are calling for reforms, whether in public finances, politics, or social relations. There is a need for a healthier and more transparent environment. Social and economic conditions remain uncertain, which is a source of concern for many.
And as the world commemorates Tuberculosis Day, African region records further decline in death and cases. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners across the sub-region. Let's begin in Mali, where 9 supporters of Imam Mahmoud Dicko will be receiving their verdict this Thursday after appearing before the High Court of Bamako's Commune 5 for illegal assembly. The arrest of the 9 supporters of the Imam follows a protest organized last February to secure the return of the influential religious leader who has been in exile in Algeria since December 2023. The verdict in this case is expected on March 27, 2025. Francis Boniface has more details in this report.
The defendants, all civilians, were arrested on February 5, 2025 after calling for or participating in a demonstration in favor of Imam Dicko's return. The gathering took place amid heightened political tensions, despite the Malian authorities' formal ban on public gatherings. On February 14, the day the Imam was scheduled to return, a major security presence was deployed in several strategic neighborhoods of Bamako. More than 1,000 uniformed officers were mobilized to prevent any demonstrations. First, with this show of force, the organizers cancelled the event at the last minute, while the Imam's arrival was postponed to a later date. The prosecution accuses the 9 defendants of participating in an unauthorized gathering on a public highway, an offense punishable by penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment. Defense lawyers, for their part, invoke freedom of expression and assembly guaranteed by the Malian constitution. During the March 20 hearing, the defendants denied any intention to disturb public order, asserting that their mobilization was peaceful and motivated by support for an influential religious figure. Among the accused is Dauda Magasa, an activist close to Imam Dicko, who was abducted on February 5 by unidentified armed individuals before being released without official explanation on March 11. His temporary disappearance sparked strong emotion in circles close to Dicko and reinforced concerns about the hardening of the regime's stance against dissident voices.
Francis Boniface filed that report. In Ghana, President John Mahama on Monday swore in the newly appointed members of the Armed Forces Council, the body tasked with overseeing military operations and providing strategic support advisories. The appointees, selected from diverse professional backgrounds, will assume their roles in line with the Council's mandate to provide policy direction and administrative oversight for the Ghana Armed Forces GAF. The Armed Forces Council is responsible for ensuring the military's efficiency, adherence to democratic principles, and accountability to the civilian government. The Council is mandated to advise the President on matters of national defense. It also ensures the discipline and welfare of military personnel. The new members of the Council sworn in by President Mahama include distinguished individuals with extensive experience in governance, security, and public administration. Here is President Mahama speaking at the swearing-in ceremony.
This solemn occasion reaffirms our collective commitment to the security, stability, and professional excellence of our armed forces. Our forces are not just a vital institution within our national security framework. They are the guardians of the sovereignty, the protectors of our democracy, and a source of immense pride for the people of Ghana. From ensuring peace in our communities to responding to security threats across the sub-region, You've continued to demonstrate unwavering commitment and sacrifice. Your service underlines the highest ideals of patriotism, duty, honor, and for this you have the full appreciation of the government and people of Ghana. Today, as we swear in the distinguished members of the Armed Forces Council, we reaffirm the critical role of this body in the governance and administration of our military. The responsibility placed on your shoulders as a council is one of great national importance. The strength of our armed forces depends not only on the bravery of the men and women in uniform, but also on the leadership, policies, and decisions that guide them. Your mandate is clear: to provide strategic leadership and oversight that ensures the Ghana Armed Forces remain an effective, modern, and disciplined force. To uphold the highest standard of governance, professionalism, and accountability within the military. To safeguard the welfare of our officers, men and women who risk their lives in the service of our nation.
Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama speaking there. Now, Nigeria's electoral umpire, INEC, has received petitions from Kogi Central constituents for the recall of embattled Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from the National Assembly. The constituents who stormed the headquarters of INEC on Monday to submit the document lamented what they described as unparliamentary and demeaning behavior of Senator Natasha. The petition was submitted with over 250,000 constituent signatures out of about 480,000 registered voters in Kogi Central, which meets INEC's requirement of 50% plus one. The petition presented by Ms. Charity Jesse on behalf of the constituents was received at INEC office in Lokoja, the state capital, and acknowledged accordingly. Recall the Nigerian Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan had accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio of alleged sexual harassment in 2023.
Because of our gross misconduct in the Senate that led us to a 6-month suspension where Kogi Central will not be represented at the National Assembly, the Senate arm. So we have come to recall her back so that we can have a representative in the Senate. Because as a people, we cannot afford not to have a representative in the Senate arm for another 1 year. So we are here to tell INEC to please follow the constitutional process for our recall so that our recall process can begin. That's why we're here. Submitted our petition, it's been received, all other documents have been received. This is the acknowledgement copy of the petition. Okay, thank you very much. We all know the INEC rules. You cannot submit a petition without having to go and get signatures of registered voters, and that's why we're now saying, as a people, we are recalling her back from the Senate because we have gotten what it takes to recall her back from the Senate. We have 488,000 registered voters from Kogi Central, and as I speak to you right now, we have more than 250,000 voters that have signed for her recall.
That was Charity Jesse, spokesperson for the 250,000 constituents from Kogi Central.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, back in Senegal, reactions have been trailing the 1-year anniversary since President Bassirou Diomaye Faye came to power. On March 24, 2024, he was elected with 54.28% of the vote. 12 months later, the head of state and his Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko have implemented several institutional reforms, including the launch of a new economic development plan called Vision Senegal 2050. But as Christopher Tisha reports, major challenges remain.
A few months before the election in 2024, now President Bassirou Diomaye Faye was chosen by Ousmane Sonko to lead the PASTEF, Le Patriote Party's candidacy while both were in prison. Released on March 14, Faye, originally from Njaganiao in the Chiens region, had just 2 weeks to campaign. By the evening of March 24, he emerged victorious, defeating Amadou Ba, the designated candidate of Macky Sall's APR party. 1 year later, President Faye, who appointed Ousmane Sonko as his prime minister, has introduced several reforms. Political analyst Mamadou Sey Albert shares his insights.
The country is calm, indicating stability, and the majority of people remain confident. There is hope that justice will be served, that the rule of law will prevail, and that public funds will be managed more effectively. This optimism is what fuels expectations aspirations for change, there is hope for a shift in governance and in the way things are done.
Mamadou Sey Albert believes the hope sparked by Senegal's new leadership remains strong. However, significant challenges lie ahead in the next 4 years of their mandates.
Senegalese citizens are calling for reforms, whether in public finances, politics, or social relations. There is a need for a healthier and more transparent environment. Social and economic conditions remain uncertain, which is a source of concern for many. Key sectors such as healthcare and education continue to face challenges. Structurally, Senegalese people recognize that significant reforms are necessary.
Meanwhile, the opposition has strongly criticized the government first year in office. United under the Front for the Defense of Democracy and the Republic, the opposition has declared President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's first year as a disastrous one. The coalition, comprising several opposition parties, condemns what it describes as democratic backsliding and economic mismanagement. In response, they have announced plans for nationwide protest in the coming days.
Christopher Teacher filed that report. In neighboring the Gambia, the Immigration Department has arrested more than 70 West African migrants attempting to travel to Europe. The group, which includes nationals from Guinea, Guinea-Bissau and Senegal, was intercepted over the weekend following a security operation. Sankle Janko report.
Authorities raided a residence in Old Yundum on the outskirts of Banjul after receiving a tip-off. Dozens of migrants were found in a 3-bedroom apartment where they were reportedly waiting to depart. Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Immigration Department, Siman Low, provides details.
We have 34 of them who are Senegalese, 35 of them as Guineans, 4 are Gambians, and 2 from Bissau Guinea. And among this number, 63 of them are found to be male, 12 are female, and 4 are minors.
Law confirmed that 2 Gambian smugglers have been arrested, while the suspected ringleader, a Senegalese national, remains at large. He also highlighted that the absence of clear legal frameworks on migration continues to pose a major challenge in combating irregular migration.
When it comes to smuggling, illegal it is still not criminalized. There is no law we have in this country that says nobody should be engaged in the smuggling of migrants. So if this is still under situation, that is why we have most non-Gambians using the Gambia as a hotspot and a hub. Because if you go to Senegal, they have a lot that talk about migration. So now if they are arrested or intercepted there, they can go to the courts. But if you come to the Gambia, even though you might be prosecuted, you have minimum rules that can punish you.
For years, the Gambia has been a key transit point for West Africans attempting to reach Europe. While some succeed, thousands have died at sea, and many more remain unaccounted for. Experts cite high youth unemployment and limited economic opportunities as key drivers of irregular migration.
Sankle Janko reporting there. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Malian High Court to give verdict in the trial of Imam Dicko supporters on March 27. Ghana's President Mahama swears in new members of Armed Forces Council. 1 year under President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, analyst Mamadou Sey Albert weighs in on progress and challenges. And still ahead in the news, as the world commemorates Tuberculosis Day, African region records further decline in death and cases. We do have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget you can listen to us live on wadr.org and follow live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Today is World Tuberculosis Day, and a report from the World Health Organization says the African region has recorded the steepest decline globally in TB death since 2015, despite falling short of key milestones to significantly lower the burden of the disease and end its toll on health and lives. The World Health Organization, WHO, in its latest Global TB Report 2024, noted that death from TB fell by 42% between 2015 and 2023, while cases declined by 24% over the same period. According to the report, the reductions were mainly due to increased effort by countries to reinforce case detection and provision of treatment, thus averting death. Dr. Jean-Louis Abenafo is the Technical Officer for Tuberculosis at the World Health Organization Regional Office for Africa.
The key numbers for the region are as follows. So 2.5 million Africans got ill with TB last year, and we could only detect 1.8 million among those 2.5 million. 24% of cases were undiagnosed, and they are the ones fueling the epidemics. So we had 400,000 deaths last year also. That means that every second an African is losing his life because of TB. These are the figure. And for drug-resistant TB, we had 62,000 drug-resistant TB cases. We could only diagnose 22,000 TB cases, drug-resistant TB cases. So those form of resistant cases that are not diagnosed are a threat for the control of the disease. But we have made some progress. So there are countries that have succeeded in reducing the incidence and the mortality.
But what can you say about West Africa in the whole of these statistics or reports that you've collected so far?
Yeah, so in West Africa and West and Central Africa, you have two high burden countries if you consider also Angola, but Angola sometimes is considered as a Southern African. In West Africa, you have countries like Senegal, which is not a high burden country, and the TB there is driven by undernutrition and poverty, and also living in slums like that. So that this is they're doing progress. That the epidemic is decreasing there. You have Ivory Coast, who has also an intermediate level of TB patient, but they have progress, and there's room for improvement.
Dr. Jean-Louis Abenafo is a Technical Officer for Tuberculosis at the World Health Organization Regional Office for Africa. And in a cherry development for its cultural and economic landscape, Liberia is gearing up for a major global showcase at Expo 2025 in Osaka, Japan, following the launch of the Liberia Expo 2025 one-stop shop in Monrovia. This initiative marks a significant step in the country's preparation for the international event, which runs from April 13 to October 13, 2025. Our correspondent in Monrovia, Abraham Parker, reports.
The Expo will feature around 164 nations, each presenting innovations in culture, technology, and economic development. This global platform offers a unique opportunity for countries to promote trade, technology, and sustainable growth. Ambassador Judy Endy, Liberia's Commissioner General for Expo 2025, highlighted the importance of the event, stating that as the oldest West African nation, Liberia aims to showcase its rich cultural heritage while attracting critical investments.
Expo, we are rebranding Liberia. We are showcasing the arrest agenda for investment purposes, agriculture, tourism, sanitation. So for us, we want to rebrand Liberia.
Liberia's ambassador to Japan, Edward Appiton, expressed hope that Expo 2025 will serve as a turning point for the country, attracting international investment and boosting tourism, ultimately driving economic growth and development.
Congratulations to Ambassador Judy Endy and her able team and staff, and all those who are responsible to make this event a success. Welcome to Japan.
Deputy Information Minister for Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Kayatu Konti Bahara, underscored the Expo's significance, calling it a testament to the long-standing ties between Liberia and Japan.
Liberia has much to offer, and we are excited to share it with you all.
As anticipation builds for the Expo 2025, Liberia is set to unveil its unique heritage and economic potential to the world, fostering transformative connections that could reshape its future. For Newslink on WADR, this is Abraham Parker reporting from Monrovia.
Politics,
analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is a guest.
Well, let's spotlight Senegal, as today marks exactly 1 year since President Bashir Diomaye Faye came into power. He was elected on March 24, 2024 with 54.28% of the vote. Well, 12 months later, the head of state and his Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko have implemented several constitutional reforms, including the launch of a new economic development plan called Vision Senegal 2050. Well, our guest is Professor Gugujeng, a Senegalese political analyst who provides analysis of the Diomaye Faye's government performances so far.
Assessing a 1 year period in power is maybe at the same time difficult and easy. It is difficult because it is not easy to assess 12 months in power, whereas you have been elected for 5 years. What I can say is, on the whole, we have still been waiting for major decisions regarding the economy, regarding all the other aspects concerning Senegal's development, concerning Senegal's education, etc.
In terms of Senegal's economic situation so far, figuring out employment and the cost of living, among other things, how would you describe the both?
Regarding employment, it has been reported that many jobs have been lost, especially at the port and other areas. Politically speaking, many opposition leaders have been arrested, accused of embezzlement. But in many cases, people have not been convinced as far as the motivations are concerned. For some people, those people have been accused of embezzlement, but they believe that the motivations are political ones, whereas others consider that there are reasons for the government to arrest those people. Regarding the purchasing power of the populations, the government has reduced the prices of rice, oil, etc. But on the ground, we do not really feel that because some prices have even soared instead of declining. So if I really had got to assess the 1 year of President Faye, I would say that I'm still really looking for better results. The cost of living has not been satisfactory so far. People have not really seen any results, even though the government has officially declared that prices have been reduced. But we are really witnessing the opposite. Regarding employment also, we have not really created new jobs. New jobs have not been created, whereas some jobs have been lost because the current government believes that many of those jobs have been given to opposition.
What do you make of the fight against corruption so far?
Regarding the fight against corruption, accountability is important. People have really asked the government to punish all those who have embezzled the country's money. But I'm not sure whether what is being carried out by the government is simply based on the needs of the populations, to see where the money have gone to.
What do you say that?
What I'm saying is it is only people who belong to the outgoing party that have been arrested so far, whereas many others have been accused, even including those who belong to the running power, the party running the country. Some of them have been accused, some months after having been appointed, but we have seen the Prime Minister go out and say they have done nothing, without even giving the opportunity to the judges to see to it that those guys have not done anything. So I believe that it's not really the role of the Prime Minister to say that those guys have done nothing. I don't believe that we still have the trust of international partners. And I believe that will have consequences on the partnership programs between Senegal and the international partners. I don't believe that the government will gain anything from the revelation of the supposed distortion of the figures. That would be, I believe, the opposite.
Professor Agugu Jeng is a Senegalese political analyst. And here is Sankulu Janko with Sport News.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Match day 5 of the African qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup 2026 delivered drama, goals, upsets and gritty resilience as the road to North America intensified. From Ghana's 5-star display to Morocco's last gasp heroics and Sudan's defiance against Senegal, the path for automatic qualification remains tense across the 9 groups. Sudan held favourites Senegal to a goalless draw in Benin to remain unbeaten and top of the group. Group standings in Group B is as follows. Sudan tops the group with 11 points, followed by DR Congo with 10 points. Senegal, meanwhile, sit in third place with 9 points. Nigeria recorded their first win with Osimhen scoring twice in Kigali. The victory takes Nigeria to 4th place with 7 points. Meanwhile, South Africa tops Group C with 10 points, followed by Benin with 8 points, and Rwanda sits in 3rd with 7 points ahead of Nigeria. Meanwhile, reigning African champions Cote d'Ivoire regained top spot with a narrow win over Burundi. Gabon moved into 2nd with a confident display against Seychelles, while Kenya and Gambia played out a 6-goal thriller. Cote d'Ivoire tops Group F with 13 points, Gabon with 12 points in 2nd, and Burundi with 7 points in 3rd. And Ghana returned to the top of Group I with a thumping win over Chad. This takes Ghana top of Group I with 12 points, Madagascar 10 points in 2nd, and Comoros with 9 points in 3rd. Some of the fixtures for tonight are as follows. Cote d'Ivoire will take on the Gambia, Ethiopia will take on Djibouti, and Tunisia will take on Malawi. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Maudo Juf and Sheng Jai for the technical support. Do connect with us on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, at WDR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship health program, Well Buddy. I am Imo Edet. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.